morning. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to your Iowa Veterans Home Memorial Day program. As the Commandant of your Iowa Veterans Home, on behalf of our residents and staff, thank you all for taking time to be with us today, this Memorial Day. Today is not about hamburgers. Today is not about hot dogs. Today is not about going to the beach. Today is not about being off a day from work. Today is not double overtime at work. Today, this Memorial Day, is a pause to remember those who gave their lives defending our freedoms, those who made the ultimate sacrifice, those who loved us, those who taught us. Next month, June 6th, be 75 days from the greatest invasion in modern day history. Iowa sent her sons to that invasion. Some did not return. All of those who have touched our lives and have gone before us, this is the day to remember them. Today we honor and remember those who died in service of our country. As we remember those heroes today, we also honor their families, and we make the solemn promise to never forget their loved ones. Please stand, if you are able, for the advancement of the colors by Boy Scout Troop 308, and please remain standing for our national anthem performed by the Marshalltown Men's Chorus.
Color guard, halt. Color guard, cross the colors. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard, honor your colors. Now it's time for the national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, return to ranks. Color guard, advance. Audience, please be seated.
Chaplain Angela Doty will now provide our invocation. Chaplain?
Let us pray. Great God of the universe, as we turn our thoughts to the past sacrifices of those who died so that we might live in freedom, grant us hearts and minds that are truly thankful. Help us to fully appreciate the price that was paid at places like Bunker Hill, the Battle of New Orleans, the Alamo, Gettysburg, San Juan Hill, Omaha Beach, Iwo Jima, Pork Chop Hill, Vietnam, and most recently Kuwait, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Thank you for those who gave the last full measure of devotion and laid down their lives for this country. As we remember these who have died serving their country in both distant and recent conflicts, fill us with humility and gratitude that they defended the precious freedoms we enjoy today. Comfort those who mourn their dead, for those who have lost husband, wife, children, or parent, and especially those who have no hope to sustain them in their grief. But most of all, enable us to trust you, the living God, and to entrust to your keeping ourselves and our country. Come to us now in perfect love and cast away our fear. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. To our distinguished guests today, that are participating with us today, it is my honor to introduce our great true supporters of our state legislators. Senator Edler, Representative Dean Smith, Representative Mark Smith, and of course Representative Holt, which I will have the great honor to introduce here in a few moments. Also I'd like to recognize today we have Senator Booker from New Jersey with us, Federal Senator Cory Booker. And I would be remiss if I do not mention our staff, the staff at IVH that are the backbone of IVH, what they do every day, and our great volunteers. I thank our volunteers and the staff. We're very grateful to have these representatives with us today, our elected officials. I thank you for your great support to your Iowa Veterans Home on both the state and the federal level. I'd like to thank Colleen for the music, the prelude music here. To our Boy Scout troops, Troop 308, who posted the colors and also provided all the flags out at our cemetery today. Thank you for that. To the Marshalltown's very own men's choir, directed by Larry, thank you. And to Don Peterson, who will be our bugler today. Thank you, Chaplain Doty, and Cecil Bushbaum, who will be putting our wreath up later this afternoon, or this morning. A special thank you to Brad and Cindy and our great staff and our coordinators for today's program. A big thanks to all of IVH staff again. The Marshalltown's choir will now sing America the Beautiful.
America,
Memorial Day, originally called Decoration Day, and the tradition of decorating graves began before the end of the Civil War. General John Logan of the Grand Army of the Republic, an organization of veterans, proclaimed this statement in his General Order Number 11. Quote, "The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of stowing flowers and otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observation, no form of ceremony is prescribed, but posts and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting service and testimonials of respect as circumstances present." End quote. At this time, I have the great privilege of introducing our guest speaker, Representative Stephen Holt. He serves in the Iowa House District 18, consisting of Crawford, Shelby counties, and part of Harrison County. He was first elected in 2015, is currently serving in his third term. Representative Holt was the chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee and is currently serving as the chair on the Judiciary Committee. Representative Holt served our country for 20 years as United States Marine. All the Marines out there, this is the time to say Semper Fi. All right. Including 5 years as a drill field drill instructor, senior DI, battalion DI, and DI of the year in 1989. He served during the Gulf War, holding the rank of First Sergeant, with his final duty station as Company First Sergeant, 1st Battalion, 7th Marine, 29 Palms, California. He has earned the Navy Achievement Medal with 2 gold stars, Navy Accommodation Medal with 2 gold stars, and the Meritorious Service Medal. It is my honor to introduce First Sergeant Honorable Stephen Holt. Sir?
Thank you so much, Senator Booker, Senator Edler, Representative Fisher, Representative Smith, staff, Boy Scouts, you did a great job, Marshalltown Men's Choir, honored guests, Commandant Jury, and especially to the veterans and their families and the residents of the Iowa Veterans Home that are in attendance today. It is my incredible honor and privilege to speak to you on this very special day, Memorial Day 2019. We have a number of holidays that we celebrate in America. We celebrate the birth of Jesus at Christmas. We celebrate the birth of our nation on July 4th. We have President's Day, Veterans Day, Armed Forces Day. We celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we have the day for which we are gathered here today, Memorial Day. It is a day we honor sacrifice and are reminded of the passing of the torch. Originally known as Decoration Day, the origins of Memorial Day date back to just after the Civil War. And what a war that was. The Civil War, which ended in the spring of 1865, claimed more lives than any other conflict in American history. A battle for the soul of our nation, it necessitated the creation of our first national cemeteries. In the late 1860s, in the springtime, Americans began to decorate the graves of our fallen soldiers and gather for prayer and remembrance. While it is known that many communities across our great nation initiated remembrances of our fallen heroes, it was Waterloo, New York, that was declared by the federal government in 1966 to be the birthplace of Memorial Day. Perhaps this distinction was granted to Waterloo because they first celebrated the day on May 5th, 1866. They held ceremonies, prayers, closed businesses, and decorated the graves of our fallen heroes. Today, our National Memorial Day traditions include parades full of military members and veterans organizations, the placing of flowers on the graves of our fallen heroes, a wreath-laying ceremony at cemeteries across our great country, and gatherings such as this one today. It is also a time for families to come together to slow down just a little bit for just a moment and enjoy the freedom and liberty for which so much has been given by having family gatherings and cookouts. But there is another Memorial Day tradition that warrants our discussion today: the wearing of red poppies to honor those who have fallen in the defense of freedom. There is a profound message here for us in the fields of the poppy. The poppy tradition began with Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, who served as a brigade surgeon for an Allied artillery unit in World War I. After a particularly bloody battle in which one of Lieutenant Colonel McCrae's friends was killed, he was treating the wounded and was struck by the sight of the bright red blooms on the broken and bloody battlefield. He wrote a poem called Flanders Fields, in which he became the voice of the fallen soldiers. It is fitting this day that I share his poem with you. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. What an amazing poem by Lieutenant Colonel McCrae, written after witnessing the carnage of a bloody battle in World War I, a battle in which it is believed the Germans first used lethal chlorine gas. Lieutenant Colonel McCrae's words were a profound warning for future generations not to drop the torch of liberty, but instead to stand strong against the enemies of freedom. Not capitulation to a false peace that robs our nation of liberty, not a cry for peace at all costs, just the opposite. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. These words demand that today we honor those who died for our freedom by taking up the quarrel. We must keep fighting for liberty and the foundational values of our nation. They have thrown us the torch of liberty, and we are to hold it high. We dare not break faith with those who died for the ideals of America. As Lieutenant Colonel McCrae so eloquently put it, if we break faith, if we do not defend the torch of freedom and American ideals, our dead will have died in vain and will not sleep. The best way, the truest way to honor our fallen war heroes is to take up their cause and never let the torch of liberty grow dull or be extinguished. Both in peacetime and in war, our military personnel sometimes give their lives for liberty's torch. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1976 to 1996, a relatively peaceful time in our history, and yet I saw many good Marines fall. It was October 16th, 1985. I was serving on board the USS Guadalcanal off the coast of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I was part of a composite squadron made up of helicopters and Harrier jump jets. I will never forget the moment. CH-46 helicopters full of Marines were taking off in the pre-dawn hours during an intense military exercise. Suddenly, one took off, but instead of going upward into the sky as it should have, it seemed to be headed downward. And sure enough, in just a moment, it struck the ocean. As Marines ran to the side and looked over the side of the ship, we could see the helicopter vanishing beneath the sea. The red light on its bottom still rotating as it vanished from our sight. We spent that day bringing up the bodies of our dead from the ocean. 15 of 19 Marines died on that helicopter, suddenly and unexpectedly that day, in peacetime, but nonetheless carrying that torch of liberty that we must continue to carry now in their stead. In 1988, I was a drill instructor at Aviation Officer Candidate School, which was also known as AOCS, in Pensacola, Florida. AOCS was a boot camp for future naval aviators. It was intense and sometimes even brutal. I had the honor of training a candidate named Kyron O'Connor. Candidate O'Connor excelled at AOCS, graduating at the top of his class. His stellar performance in the Navy continued as he was selected to be a Blue Angel pilot, a feat only a tiny handful achieved. He was the elite of the elite, flying his aircraft in precision maneuvers that only the best pilots, the very best pilots, could accomplish. On October 28, 1999, while flying Blue Angel 3 at an air show in Georgia, he was killed, along with another pilot, Lieutenant Kevin Colley. It was believed that he passed out as a result of G-forces during one of his maneuvers, something that rarely happens but sometimes occurs to pilots. We must never forget that even in peace, our military men and women can sometimes give the ultimate sacrifice that we honor today. U.S. casualties in carrying the torch of liberty in war since 1776 total over 2.8 million, with over 40,000 missing in action. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. As we honor and pray today for our fallen heroes and their families, and as we rededicate ourselves to carrying that torch of liberty, let us not forget those close to home. The letter I'm about to read is from a gentleman named Freddie Lindsay, a resident of the Iowa Veterans Home who is no longer with us. This is a letter he shared with the world on his experiences during the Normandy invasion, as he accidentally stepped into an area where General Eisenhower was talking to the troops before the invasion. This letter has some colorful language in it, but I feel it necessary to read it just as he wrote it so you can feel what he was feeling on that day. The letter is dated June 6, 2014. On June 5th, 1944, I was in southern England, preparing myself and my men for the invasion of Europe. I was a 22-year-old first sergeant in the 299 Port Company of the 518th Port Battalion, attached to the 1st Combat Engineer Brigade. Our initial job was to assist the engineers with clearing explosives from the landing beaches. Then, when the area was clear, we would revert back to our main responsibility, which was to establish a port at Utah Beach for offloading supplies to support the invasion as it moved inland. There were so many soldiers in the marshalling area in Southampton that day, it was like being at the Iowa State Fair. You really had to twist and turn to get around and get anything done. There were American troops, British, Canadian, what have you. All our allies were there, getting ready for D-Day. It was about 1600 and the afternoon was warm. I had made my way over to the airborne area because I had wanted to find a special combat knife that one of their officers might have to sell or trade. There had been several high-ranking officers in the area checking on the troops, and I walked in on General Eisenhower talking to the 101st paratroopers and some glider infantry soldiers. He was asking the men what they did for a living back home, and one of them said that he was a department manager for Sears Roebuck in Fargo, North Dakota. Ike stomped his foot when he heard that and said, "I hate those Sears sons of bitches." When Mamie and I got married, she didn't want me to wear my uniform for the wedding. I went down to Sears and I bought a suit, tie, shoes, hat, the whole works. I went back to the hotel room and got dressed, and she started laughing at me. When I asked her what was so damn funny, she said, "Ike, somebody cut the brim off the back of your hat." And I'll be damned if it wasn't so. And the thing was new right out of the box. I took it straight back to Sears, and those bastards wouldn't give me my money back or anything. I walked out of there, and I have never been back to a Sears store to this day. So many people think that General Eisenhower was giving troops some sort of monumental pep talk that day, but he was just trying to visit with his men and be a regular guy at that critical time. Many questions come up about the numbered card that the 101st soldier has around his neck. That number corresponded with the gate at the airfield that each group was to report to for loading into their assigned planes and gliders. A couple days later, when we were able to get to St. Mary Glace, we found many of those fellows dead, hanging from trees and buildings and mangled in crash gliders. So many fine soldiers who had spent years training for the invasion and never touched the ground in France alive. I am proud of my service to my country, but I can never forget the great loss of life, the destruction, and the pain of war. That was 70 years ago, and we still have war today. I hope and pray that someday we can find a way to keep the peace once and for all. God bless the nation, and God bless the soldier. Sincerely, Freddie Lindsay. From every state in our nation, from farms, from cities, from loving homes and broken homes, from every faith, from the north and the south, the east and the west, from Alaska's cold to Florida's Everglades, from the Rio Grande to Vermont, Pennsylvania, Iowa, and the other states in our union. They have come, and they have taken up the torch. Young men and women from all across America have taken the torch of liberty. They have held it high. They have kept us free, some having given the ultimate sacrifice, and they have passed that torch to us. Now we have the watch, and it is a sacred watch indeed, because that torch is in our hands now. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. Thank God for all who have carried the torch of liberty, for those who in their service gave their last full measure of devotion, that we so humbly honor this day. And may we never, ever break faith with these, our honored dead. Thank you. Thank you to our veterans and their families. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America.
Bravo! Bravo!
Representative Holt, thank you so very much for sharing your great words today. And as a small token from your Iowa Veterans Home and your residents and staff, please accept this token, this great coffee mug. It does comply with the federal standards of gifts to elected officials. So, sir, thank you. And I'm also giving you, sir, the pin that we have newly designed and commissioned for the Iowa Veterans Home. I have the great honor of bestowing this pin upon our staff or members that do something extraordinary above and beyond the what their call of duty is. And it's a coveted pin, and it's given out stringently to people who go above and beyond. So, sir, please accept this token from us. The Marshalltown's Men Choir will now sing God Bless the USA. veteran Cecil Bushbaum to bring our wreath forward.
Thank you, Stacy.
General George S. Patton prayed in the soldier's prayer, "Let me not mourn for the men who have died fighting, but rather let me be glad that such heroes have lived." We are grateful for their service and the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you for joining us today to honor our American heroes. Their sacrifice is not in vain as long as we take time to remember and honor them. Chaplain Doty will provide our benediction, following by the playing of taps. During the playing of taps, if you are able to stand, you may stand with your hand over your heart, and veterans may render the hand salute. Following the benediction and the playing of taps, the Boy Scouts will retire the colors. Chaplain Doty.
So let us close in prayer. May God bless and protect those soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who now carry the torch, those who stand in harm's way. May God bless this country in love. May God clothe all nations in care. And may God forever hold us, his children, in a holy embrace and grant us peace. Amen.
Color guard, halt. Scout salute. Color guard, retrieve the colors. Color guard, return to ranks. Color guard, forward march.